Hey, what's good? It's Rodney, and welcome back to the Man What Y'all Doing podcast, a podcast where we talk about what we have watched, what we've enjoyed, what we've not enjoyed, what's coming up, and yeah, we do that because we're conceited like that. Today it's gonna be a small cast. It's just me, Rocknin, and with me today is
Creative G. What's happening? What's happening?
I love the breakup of the symbol. That was great. That works out for me. I like it. Um, Now I gotta try and see if I can do some kind of visual, make it appear like that. I probably want them lazy. This will be just me and Jeans today. I wasn't able to get in touch with Sack Lunch, so I'm assuming he's probably busy. And I know that Carnage is busy moving right now, so good look to him. Also, today or is it yesterday? Today's your birthday.
Tomorrow. It's technically tomorrow.
Okay, got you. Okay, so tomorrow's your birthday. So since we're on here, I'm gonna say it for like the fourth time. I think happy birthday. Getting closer to the old man club, aka the 40s. So I won't give away your age, but you're getting there.
Yeah, I'm not gonna like when people start calling me OG. Like, look at here, young buck. Like,
Right.
you know what? Never mind.
Boy, let me tell you about what I do. You think you watch anime? I tell you, I watch anime. You know anything about Go 13, boy? You start naming off shows.
Hey, about the new Shaman King remake that's about to come up, Whippersnapper.
Right. Back in my day, we watched Shaman King before it was finished. We had no ending. Oh man. So today we're gonna touch on. We'll probably start off with talking about Loki. So like right off the bat, there's gonna be spoilers if you've not watched the series. I'm probably gonna go into a bit of details and some of my thoughts on it, and we'll just discuss some points from there. Talk about the Marvel Universe at large. Anything else we've like checked out, and then both of us actually were in tournaments today. Or wait, you were in tournament today, yesterday, or just yesterday?
My tournament, the qualifiers were yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were in tournaments yesterday, and I was in tournament today for a local online tournament. So we'll get into that a little bit too. It'll probably it'll be a shorter cast, so hopefully it won't stretch to like 3 or 4 hours. It won't because it's not allowed to. We both got stuff to do, so we'll just go ahead and get started with Loki, man. The season finale happened. I was, you know what? Let me ask you first what your thoughts were on the series and then on the finale.
I thought the series was cool.
Yeah.
The one thing I don't like that they keep doing is like you got these characters like Loki's pretty powerful. He's not no slouch. And just like in WandaVision, they kind of bring him down to like that reality type level and then build him back up. I'm like, you already kind of showed what he can do. Why do we need to do this? That's like one of the only things that keeps bugging me about the shows, but I was actually really entertained by the show, and that last episode, I'm kind of curious to see what happens in Multiverse of Madness now, because I feel like they're going to do that before doing a season 2.
Like, yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I mean, the Strange movie is coming out, and then you got the Ant-Man and the Wasp movie too.
Yep. Yeah.
And I'm wondering too, like, so for those that don't know, on the very last episode of Loki, at the very, or not the very end, actually at the very beginning. You're introduced to essentially as Kang the Conqueror, aka He Who Remains, who's played by Jonathan Majors, I think it is. Yeah, Jonathan Majors. Really, just a really solid performance. I was like very pleased. It actually was kind of like his performance was like really unsettling because he's like kind of like this really happy character, which I wasn't expecting them to go with, but it makes sense.
I did like that they did that.
Yeah, because like and part of you could, it's like, is he kind of going crazy because he's been at the end of time for so long and he's been seeing all the stuff happening. He knows where it goes, or is he just naturally that crazy, or he's seen so many, like he's fought against versions of himself, so maybe that's drove him a little bit insane. Whatever the case may be, like he knows what he's doing, and it's like wow. And it's one of the things I found impressive, and I mentioned this on Twitter to a couple people. Like I really found it impressive that. For me personally, they made me like definitely afraid of a character without having that character do not one iota of battling. All he did was dodge a couple of attacks and do exposition. and somehow by the by the middle of that exposition, I was like, dude, I'm scared of this character. Like, I don't know, because I'm not really familiar with Kang the Conqueror from the comics. I just have heard the name thrown around a lot.
Right. Yeah.
And so for me, it's like a new introduction to like a new villain, and especially for Phase 4. So I'm just like, man, I don't know what to expect. And the fact that made him like this threatening by just having him talk about stuff, I was like, okay, all right, this is something else. Um, but yeah, it was an unsettling episode in that sense. Him and or Loki and Sylvie fighting, I knew that was gonna happen. I was like, they're gonna end up fighting once they made it like it had to be a choice. I'm like, they're gonna fight. All right,
Yeah.
this is a setup for them to fight. Um,
Exactly.
I did not expect the outcome that they went with, but it makes sense as well because I knew at that point like they have to make the multiverse happen some kind of way. Um, oh, but I brought up Kane just to say like with the multiverse of madness and like with the Ant-Man and the Wasp movie, I wonder if specifically with the Ant-Man and the Wasp movie, if we're gonna get like the origin story of Kang the Conqueror, like maybe he was a scientist at the time that went back, and, they show that side of it or whatever. Because we don't know what time frame he came from yet. Like we haven't seen him yet aside from this series, so we don't know if he's gonna be introduced in the next Strange movie or that movie, or how they're gonna show how he got back to or how he got to the end of time or wherever he ended up at to find his variants. Um, but yeah, I like the series a lot. It's probably of the 3 series they've done so far, like the more TV series like stuff. Why is my camera glitching? It feels weird. It's like it's like Matrix deal going on right now. My camera is glitching hard too. I don't know what's going on. So I don't know if I can fix that. And I'm already recording, so I'm not going to worry about it right now. But anyway,
It's popping up here.
I know, right? It's like, oh, reality's warping. I'm not sure why it's flickering. It's so weird. But anyway, yeah, it was. What was I saying? That threw me off. I got threw off by the Matrix. Um, I was saying something important too. Now I feel bad because I can't remember what it was. What's going on in that? And then, do you remember what I was saying? Because I don't recall.
Uh, you were saying you're not familiar with Kane, but you don't know if he's going to be introduced in Multiverse of Madness, like where he came from, or
Right.
like which timeline he came from, or something like that.
Oh, I remember. Okay, I remember. I remember now. As far as the series, I feel like of the series that they've done so far, I've like it's Loki's probably my favorite. Which is saying a lot because I found it weird. Like a lot of people online I see didn't care for Falcon and Winter Soldier that much, which I was surprised. I mean, I guess to be fair, unlike WandaVision, unlike Loki, Falcon and Winter Soldier is like very grounded, and so it feels more like the traditional like Marvel movie. Whereas like WandaVision clearly was off. It was like way off doing its own thing until the very end, and then Loki was like from the very beginning it was like this weird thing that was like, whoa, what is this? Like, what are we looking at? What do we get into? And there's like a lot of questions about it going into it. So, Falcon and Winter Soldier is probably like the safest of the bunch. Um, but yeah, no, I like Loki. I ended up liking it a ton. I didn't, and as somebody who also wasn't that familiar with Loki before the Avengers, that was kind of surprising to me that I've actually come to like this character so much. Um, but I've seen a lot of people too, like also that weren't happy with his characterization in this movie in this series. See, it feels like a movie. And like you said, I do agree with you on the point that yeah, they have this thing where they're like powering down the characters. I think in WandaVision it was less so, only because I mean she is basically controlling an entire city and holding that power, and for her, in her case, it makes sense because her power is undiscovered. She doesn't know she has that power. She knows she's strong, but she doesn't know exactly the limits of her power. Now she's learning that, and that that kind of ties into the whole ending. But with Loki, I definitely do kind of feel it's like, man, it's like he's not using his powers that he has, that he knows he has. Granted, I don't know if it's a plot contrivance or not, but they definitely tried to do to him from day one by showing like, oh, we can just lock your powers down, and then showing like, oh, Infinity Stones, they don't mean anything here. Like clearly that was an effort to be like, you know what, yeah, we gotta defame this guy. We gotta like bring some of his power down, because if we left him where he was at, nothing would happen. He was just, that'd be it. So yeah, I can definitely see that.
The classic Loki, how he built that city out of like his out of his powers,
Yeah.
like creating that giant city as a mirage. Like, that was kind of dope.
That was sick. I was like, when I saw, I'm like, oh, that's pretty raw. I'm like, he made an illusion that big and believable. That's crazy, dude. But it cost him though. It did drain him completely. So I was like, wow, that's something else. So we see like the extent where his power can go. And I guess the other thing that comes up a lot too is that this Loki, I think he made the transition from like, because the Loki we're looking at in this one is from the first Avengers movie, because he's the one that stole the Tesseract and then jumped. So technically, this is the Loki that shouldn't be reformed yet. As opposed to the one that we see by the end of Ragnarok going into the Infinity War, the one that's killed. And so I think the only other issue I really have, not only if it's an issue for me per se, but the issue I see that has come up a lot is that he seems, I'm quoting a couple people here that said he was like less chaotic, and he seemed like his character seemed kind of neutered in this, which I get, and I think it's because they tried to get him to where he was at in Ragnarok too fast. Like his change is pretty abrupt. Like by episode 3, he's already back to like where he was at in Ragnarok as far as a person. Granted, I guess seeing the end of your life will do that to you. Maybe like that's my only thought. It's like maybe
I figured that's what they were using that for. Oh, I got killed by Thanos. What the hell?
Right? Yeah. Like, and then like, cause like from that point immediately, he's like, oh, I gotta, what is my purpose? What's our point? And then like the rest, I do think they spend a good amount of time like kind of putting into the commentary that he's really trying to find his purpose, because every time he looks up, it's like Lokis are just, any Loki that he runs into, or like it's on the timeline, is just there to cause chaos, or just like to be a power up for the other things that happen in the universe that they're in. And he's like, no, I can't just be that. But then he ends up being that anyway. So by the end, so yeah, I don't know. I'm iffy on that one. Like I definitely get where a lot of people are coming from with that. But I also can see, I feel like it wasn't that bad of a build up, or like that bad of a change, but I do think it went too far. He made his face turn a little too fast. Like I think, especially because by the time he's been pruned and he gets like episode 5, when they're like, all the Lokis are together, you definitely see that contrast between like the old version of him when they bring that one back that's like that looks like a president or whatever. He got the button on or whatever. I don't know what to call him. I don't know if we call him Evil Loki. I don't know. Like, well, I don't know what they're evil or not. But that version of himself reflects like what he was at the beginning of this series and at the during Avengers, and so it is kind of really abrupt like that, because the other one's like very just like normal. Especially by the end, he does feel like a little bit more normal than he should. But I don't know. It didn't bother me as much, and I ended up really, really enjoying it. But I definitely see those as issues that people have brought up. And then, yeah, the finale just, more than like a big spectacle, the finale just, the implications of it are what made me hype. Because I'm like, oh, this thing's about to happen. Especially we got put in a different timeline. I'm like, oh, this is messed up. What does he do from here? So my only gripe with that is like, now he's got to go through, I don't know if they're going to make him go through the whole thing of like, now he's got to re-befriend Mobius and re-befriend B-15 and, go through that or whatever. But we'll have to see. Yeah, if you got to go through that whole story again, like we just went through that. Like, why even do that? But I get why they made that storyline change, because now they're in a timeline where Kang is actually like a thing, indicated by the statue. But at the same time, it's like I really wish they hadn't done that, because now it's like it feels like we're gonna have to reestablish those connections again. It's like I hope they don't open season 2 by having him, having to go through all these same talks with these characters. Especially Hunter B-15, because like I actually grew to like her a lot. I didn't think she'd be that important in the storyline from the first episode. I thought she was like just a side character, and then come to find out she's important to the storyline for the entire time. Like, oh wow, and she was dope. What she learned the truth was that talk she had with what's her name, Renslayer. When she had to talk with Renslayer, and she
when she ended up finding her.
Yeah, when she had her captured, and then Renslayer went to talk to her, and like she just had this like confident air about her. I was like, man, this character is way better than I thought she was gonna be. I thought she was just like some stock cop and just like there for like 5 minutes and like get killed or something. But like, no, she's like an important character.
Yeah, they played on her pretty well.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it. I know I kind of rambled on there, but looking forward to seeing where it goes now, what the implications are. Did
Yeah,
you?
I
Okay.
personally got to read up on King the Conqueror because I'm not too familiar with him either. Every time I
Yeah.
saw somebody mentioning the name Kang, I was thinking Ninja Turtles. Like, what
Right.
are we
Yeah.
talking?
Krang. Like you gonna have an android body with your brain in a suit? Okay. All right. I guess. Um. Did you get a chance to see Black Widow yet?
Yeah, I saw Black Widow.
Okay. What did you think of that?
That one's a tough one because it is a Marvel character, but she's she does espionage. She's a spy,
Right.
so it just kind of felt like a little action movie.
Right, yeah, and I feel and maybe I don't even care tell what you think about this, but like when I watched it, I first of all I watched it and I enjoyed it. There's a lot of people online are like, man, it was average or bad or what. I'm like, man, I really did not feel that. I'm like, I watched it and I thought it was pretty good. My only problem with it, and probably why I feel like it feels like lackluster, is because it's definitely a movie that should have came out in like 2013, 2014.
Yeah,
It feels like it's way too many years too late now because like the time that it took place was like between Civil War and Infinity War, and I'm like, dude, like I get it that we're going back and seeing that, but I'm like, this should have came out then. Coming out now, it feels. I won't say I hate to say that it feels pointless because I don't think it feels pointless because I think that's kind of a silly way to look at it because even though it may fill in the story point, doesn't mean it's pointless because we already know it ends, but it does neuter the stakes a little bit because it's like, well, we know what happens to her after this, we know what goes on there, and the fallout from it doesn't really inform anything else that we don't already know because there's been like 5 movies since then, since this movie should have came out, and I think that's the biggest flaw it has is that it should have came out years ago. Granted, it got stalled, it got put in the back burner because people in power were like, well, a woman-led hero movie won't sell, so we're gonna not do that, dumbasses. But it really does feel like, at least to me, I feel like a movie that should have came out like 2013, 2015 at the latest. Like it felt like it really should have been in that slot before Infinity War came out because that's where it takes place at, obviously. But coming
yeah,
out now, I guess better late than never. But the fact that it's coming out like 6 years, 7 years late does feel like I lose some of its impact, and it's like that kind of sucks.
yeah, yeah. And mainly because of COVID and everything, they didn't really have much of a choice.
Right? Yeah, they had to push back even further, and yeah. Um, but yeah, that I guess we can kind of call it there because there's not too much to go on with it. Like Black Widow I thought it was a good movie. I didn't have any issues with it. I mean, I didn't have any major issues with it. I mean, there's some small stuff, but I don't know if I want to go into that too much yet, since I could spend hours talking about Marvel movies. And I do want to go into and learn some stuff about your Evo experience because I didn't enter the online qualifiers. Uh, I was I've been on like a purposely imposed tournament hiatus. I've not been in a tournament or signed up for a tournament in at least a year, if not a year and a half. I want to say the last tournament that I signed up for that I participated in was Undefeated in 2019, and once that tournament was over, and that was like October 2019, I think, or something like that. And after that tournament ended, I may have done like one or two locals. I don't recall. But after that, I kind of just took a break, and then I would have gotten back in the tournaments like that following like April, but then COVID happened, and so at that point, I'm like, I'm not doing online tournaments, and I'm like, you know what, this is a good time for me to take a break, reassess, and get mad at online fighting games. So I didn't play anything. This, I had my first tournament today, but I said to say that I skipped the Evo qualifiers. I'm not doing it this year. I'll just wait until we do it in person again. So, but I've been talking to you about getting in tournaments and going to locals for a good minute. So when Jay told me like, hey, Genius is like doing Evo qualifier right now, he was giving me the updates. I'm like, yo, okay, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because I just looked at it like, okay, they're doing Evo online, and they're doing a lot of these on my days off. So I was just like,
Ah,
you know what, forget it. Why not? I still love Tekken. When it comes to fighting games, I live, breathe, and bleed Tekken. That's
right. Yeah,
my
yeah.
number one game. I was like, yeah, let me just go ahead and do it, man. Let me just go ahead and sign up. Just did it on a whim. But man, it definitely gave me a new perspective to the people that do this all the time. I was like, oh my God, I've been doing this all day. I have a headache. I'm hungry. I'm tired. You think it's ain't shit. Like,
Oh man,
oh man, this this was like not really stressful, but it definitely weighed on me a lot more than I thought it would.
Man, how much? So how was it structured? Like, how long did it take to like get through your, I guess, your bracket, or how much time you had to play? Like, did they have you like playing a bracket and then you finish that one and play another bracket like in the same day, or like how did it go?
Yeah, there was two brackets I did yesterday. Then there was a separate bracket on Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah, so hold on, let me make sure I got this right. Uh, so last week they did a bunch of different warm ups, and those were cool. Like the warm ups was cool, and then
Mm-hmm.
okay, so it was just yesterday. So yesterday was the qualifiers, and I ended up doing two brackets, but eventually got knocked out from the qualifiers on Tuesday, I think, because of I got my four losses.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, it was a lot of games. I was like, I didn't think there was going to be so many to play.
Yeah, man. Like Evo tends to be like that. If you're going into bracket, like the only way you get like the fastest running Evo is you go and lose every game immediately. And I'm not sure how the brackets laid out this time. 'Cause this is kind of different than what they do in like what they do in the live setting. So, but yeah, man, it is a lot. It can be a lot of matches sometimes, especially if you're in multiple games. But um, yeah, it can be, it can wear on your mind. Even with just like one bracket, it can just be like it's a lot of like. Did you have like nerves, or like were you like anxious before you got on your matches, or like how did you feel before your matches, like getting ready for them and stuff?
I felt like that during the warm ups, and
Mm.
then no, I had some easy matches, and then I ran into characters that I discovered I hate now. Yoshimitsu. Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh
I
man.
had to fight a Yoshi in warm ups, and I had to fight a Yoshi in qualifiers, and I'm just like, I hate this character. I don't know anything he's gonna do. Like he's so hard to read, and it's ridiculous.
Man, like yeah, Yoshi will do that to you, man. Like those kind of like crazy, unorthodox mix up, wild out characters are just like they'll get you in a tournament setting too. Cause like you'll be like, it's always that matchup like you don't really like study. Cause like there's like that one Yoshi player you might run into online, like because nobody else really plays them. But then you get to a tournament like this, and then like that one Yoshi that you saw online is the person in your bracket, and you're like, oh, cool, great. I got to deal with this
Right.
nonsense. Man,
So
that's
yeah.
wild.
Um.
Yeah, who else?
Okay.
You want to say who else knows, or who else did you run into that you like really discovered that you didn't like? Guy Yoshi.
Mainly him and Fakumram. That
Oh yeah,
too. And people can play him very differently, so it's really hard to judge that matchup sometimes. And me being an Armor King player, I'm already at a frame disadvantage in most cases anyway.
you chose the hard road.
Yeah. I love Armor King though.
No,
He's
but yeah,
just
you
so
know what? Before I'm about to say, you know what? If it's satisfying to play, it works. You know what I'm saying? Like even if it's the harder road, like it's all about how much fun you have playing the character. At the end of the day, it's like, hey, this character has some tough matchups or some tough things about him, but I'm having fun doing it. You'll probably get over it anyway. You'll just like I'll work around and stuff. So,
yeah. And my secondary ended up being Leroy because I just think
oh
that's a
well,
dope ass character. I
yeah,
know he got a whole lot of hate when he got released, but
he was
I feel
ridiculous.
like yeah, I feel like Lydia and Fakuram are still worse, while Leroy definitely got more balanced.
Yeah, yeah, I can hear that. Hold on, damn it, yawning. For those, I'll probably if I look a little tired on stream, I did not sleep well the night before this, and I am not feeling great right now. And I tried to drink coffee to help it out, and it did not help. So I apologize in advance. The screen is glitching again, so this is gonna look a little matrixy. That is not an effect that I added. It's that the camera is freaking out, and I don't know why. But yeah, no, like I've not been keeping up with Tekken as much as I used to, and even then, I've not played Tekken like super heavy in a while. Um, but yeah, I remember when Leroy came out, there was a huge fuss about him. And I know he got nerfed, so I don't know if the status of like, was it Lydia? Is that her name?
Lydia, yeah.
Yeah, Lydia. She looked really cool. Actually, I was like, if I play again, I might try and pick her up. And I played her for like 5 minutes. I'm like, this is not my kind of character. But she looked really cool. And then like Fakuran, I mean, when he got released, he was actually kind of an asshole too. I remember everybody hated him for a minute. They were like, this character's broken. Like, I think there was Twitter chatter from like some tournaments in Europe. I think it was. Don't quote me if I'm wrong. Don't quote me if I'm wrong. Of course not. I think it was in Europe where he got banned, like by some smaller tournaments. Yeah, because he was so ridiculous on release. And then they normalized him a little bit, but he's still kind of strong. But from what I played against him, he seems like once you know what to do, he can be really annoying.
Yeah, he's a big threat. Like everybody was looking for, Bruce to come back in the game, but instead we got Josie, and then we got this savage ass dude here. And I almost picked him up just because I've always been a big fan of Bruce. Like Tekken 6 and Tekken Tag 2.
Yeah.
Like that's all I played. Armor King and Bruce. Got in tag, put them together, and created very unique combos. Like those have always been my boys.
Right. Nice. Okay. Now I wish I was better at Tekken Tag. I really I just didn't get into it as heavy as I wanted to. It was too much for my pea brain.
Man, one thing I really enjoyed about Tekken 6, and I'm pretty sure I mentioned this before. Hey, Namco, bring back Tekken Force, or just give us a Tekken Force game. Like, come on, man.
Oh yeah. Tekken Force and I will say, like, I didn't like Tekken 6 much, but I will say the Tekken Force mode in there was pretty dope. I did put a lot of time into that mode itself, just like to unlock stuff and everything. It was pretty damn dope. I like that.
Can't forget about the other game modes we like to play, like Grand having that little online co-op mode. It's like a side-scroller beat 'em up, and it's actually really fun.
I keep forgetting about that, man. I haven't touched Grand Blue in a while, so that's part of the reason. But yeah, I forgot that Grand Blue has that mode. I need to.
You can play that online too. Like you could join up with people and just like run through the little RPG mode. Like it's actually pretty dope.
I think we talked about this before, but my problem with Grand Blue right now is I want to play it. I don't want to play it on PS4, and I want to buy it on Steam. But then to buy it on Steam, it never goes on sale. So like it's full price plus the DLC, and I'm like, I'm not paying $90 for this game right now or more. Actually, with the DLC, I'm like, I'm cool on that. Because
I saw they just had another character drop too. I gotta
was it 6 or I think this is
something like that. Yeah,
he looks pretty cool. I'm like, okay, and they got I think 1 or 2 more characters coming still. So the game's still getting content, and still getting characters. I wish they were getting rollback netcode, but can't have everything. So, but when I played it, I loved the game. But it was I really do not like playing on PS4 anymore. And so like when I try and play stuff, I try and play on PC, and it's one of those games that's on PC, but it costs an arm and a leg right now. It just won't go on sale. I'm gonna keep an eye out for a sale. If it does go on sale, I'll probably get it and try and get back into it. But yeah, speaking of games that I try to get into that I just utterly fail at, I entered 2 tournaments today. Street Fighter 5, which is not the one I failed at, and Guilty Gear Strive, which I absolutely got bullied on when I played on. I
thought about that, but I knew that was gonna happen too because I haven't put nowhere near enough time in that game right now.
Man, oh my god! So today was an event called MWYD, which is run by Muji in our local community, aka John, and that's the homie. John's the homie. Shout out to John. Shout out to Muji. Shout out to MWYD 3. And so it was a solely online event. I don't know why. When he first announced it, I don't know why I thought it was offline, but yeah, it was an online event, so it was all online, which is cool. And like I said, it's my first tournament in over a year. And it actually almost 2 years, I want to say, because I'd already been on the break for like a few months, so it might have actually been exactly 2 years, which is wild for me because before the pandemic and like Undefeated Night 2019 is my last tournament, but like before that. You know me, I was at the local very often, and usually during like ranking battles or Rambats, I was like constantly there for Street Fighter 5 in particular. And before that, Cross Tekken, I was like pretty steadily going. But I just got burned out, man. Like between work and everything and all everything else going on, I just got burned out. I got tired of trying to play. I got tired of trying to find my place, all this stuff, yada, yada, yada. And so I intentionally still stopped playing, and I kind of semi-retired from playing fighting game tournaments. I was like, I'm just done playing tournaments. And I lived a quiet life. I mean, aside from not getting frustrated playing online, which I also ended up cutting back on, and like until I found a group to play with, and like then we started playing pretty steadily, and I started kind of chilling out and understanding what was wrong with my play. Life was great. The Fire Nation signed a peace treaty, and there was a moment of peace. And then I was like, you know what? Let me enter MWYD. And immediately, like as the tournament got closer, but especially as of this morning, it's probably why I didn't. That's why I didn't sleep well last night. All last night, I don't know. My nerves kicked into overdrive. Mind you, this is a free tournament. It had not to pay anything. It was a MWYD used to be before this. Obviously, for this event, it was a in person kind of like not event. What's what I'm looking for? Like a convention basically, but it was centered around fighting games. There was a lot of fighting games there. And so it's always just kind of like a really chill atmosphere. It's not ever like, oh my God, super serious or anything. But my brain, man, when I see a tournament bracket, cranks it all the way up to 11. And so I'm just anxious. I'm not sleeping well. I finally get some sleep for like 4 hours, and I wake up this morning and I got a nervous stomach. I'm sweaty. I'm like sitting there trying to think about how I'm going to play matches and stuff. I had to like calm down, play some Pokemon for a little bit, try and relax. And I'm like, why am I so anxious? I'm like, I forgot how sucky this feels because I have really bad tournament anxiety. I do. Whenever tournaments are coming up, I get really bad. I get really anxious. And normally before the tournament starts, I can't break out of it. Like it'll carry on into the tournament and I'll have, mom spaghetti everywhere. And on top of that, it was for 2 tournaments. I think if I had only entered Street Fighter, it wouldn't have been nearly as bad. But since I entered Street Fighter and Guilty Gear and they were running at the same time, I was like, yeah, because I'd like switch between tournaments and like, okay, I got to let them know I'm available for this match and not this match and vice versa. Thankfully, neither tournament was like super huge. They were fairly medium in size, like kind of small in size. So it wasn't like hundreds and thousands of people to deal with. It was like, maybe 20 here and maybe 60 on this side. And so it was relatively small. So it was easier to get in contact with people and just like hitting Discord like, hey, I'm playing my match right now. I'll be back available for my next match in a few minutes or whatever. So it was not that bad. But yeah, I surprised myself because in Street Fighter 5, which I haven't been actively tournament practicing, but I have been playing a lot. I've been playing with my homie Black Excellence and Bros with Joestar. We've been doing lobbies every Friday at 4 from like 4 to 6:30, and it's usually us and then maybe T-Dot and a couple other folks from our community, or in general, really, just a bunch of folks. So like we'll have like lobbies. We do it every Friday. It's been pretty steady for the last couple of months. And they've been really helpful with helping me like show up a lot of my weaknesses, and yeah, that was helpful to get me like to get used to a lot of stuff and like narrow things down. And so that steady practice actually came in handy. We play for fun, right? We haven't been playing with the intent of like we're going to tournaments and all. We're just playing for fun, just playing for the hell of it. But when the tournament came up, that practice did like come back and help out. So I did pretty well. I did okay. I went 2-2, but because of the size of the tournament, that put me in top 5. So I'm like, oh shit, okay. I'll take that. And I mean, the people I lost to, I'm not ashamed to lose to. Not that I'm ashamed to lose to anybody, because you can lose to anybody, but I lost to Velociraptor and I lost to Reedman. Velociraptor is I've not beaten Velociraptor ever, and he's a damn fucking solid player. So shouts to John Velociraptor. And then Reedman has been my demon since we've been playing Street Fighter 5. She has been she used to play Guile, and then she started playing G, and she used to play Fong too, and I'm like, she has always been, it's been frustrating playing against her. So I knew she played G. I did better against her G than I normally do, so I was very surprised by that. But I still got ran. So that kind of sucked, but I did better than I usually do, and I actually even against Velociraptor, I noticed in the last, I think if I could play more games against them, I would have done better. But that's like saying if the Pistons had more games in the finals, they would have won in 2005 or whatever year it was. It's like, but that's the amount of games you get, so you got to learn within that time frame. So it is what it is. But I could definitely tell by like the end of like the 4th game, I could tell like I'm starting to catch on to some stuff, but it's too little, too late. And it's like, okay, if I just had a little more time, if I just like learned a little bit faster. But I'm starting to get better at reading that stuff. But it's still a long way to, a lot of growth there. But I'm no longer like trying to rush it. So I was like, you know what, I got so much stuff going on that if I get a chance to play, or we play locals, or we play online, I will play. But I'm not a top tournament player, and I know that now. And I finally, in my heart of hearts, can accept that. So the fact that I went 2-2 in Street Fighter is more than enough for me. I'm okay with that, and I'm not hurt by it. I'm actually excited about it. I'm like, cool, I did that, and I wasn't even like practicing hardcore. I only practiced like a couple of days, and I'm like, cool, that's good. That's a good sign that I've calmed down a little bit. But Guilty Gear, whoo! I got, boy, there's getting washed. There's getting, as Smug would say, wiggity washed. And then there's whatever the fuck happened to me. I got destroyed. I thought Insta Kills was back. I was like, oh. I was like, shit. Dude, I think I got in like 3 hits of offense in both my sets combined, in winners and losers. I got slam danced. I got hit with the ultimate spell. I was like, all right, well, good games. Once I got to my loser set, I was already like disheartened because I got so destroyed in my winner set. What kind of sucked too was that I got a first round bye, and that seems good because it means, hey, you can skip. You're in the second round automatically. You can skip it. But then the problem with that is you don't get those warm up matches. You don't get like kind of ease into the bracket. You just get that means your first match might be against whoever won their first 2 matches. So you're going to get somebody that's 2-0, or 1-0 rather. But then on top of that, in my second round, the person I was supposed to play against got disqualified. So now I'm just like, technically I'm like 1-0, but it's a DQ. So I've not played anybody. So the person I'm going against now is now 2-0. So whoever this is, they know what they're doing. I don't. So I got, it's on. I think my match was on stream. Both my sets ended up on stream. So I don't recall what the stream was for Guilty Gear. I have to go back and look that up. But I know the stream for Street Fighter was on my homeboy Said 3S. It's on his channel, so it's SAID 3S. If anybody wants to check that out. I don't know if the archives are still there. I'm not sure what they're doing with the archives of this event, but if they are, they're there. And then I got to find out what the stream was for Guilty Gear, because the stream by different people. But yeah, if those are out there, you can see it on stream. I kid you not. Like I said, I got like maybe 3 hits of offense in, man. I got like maybe 1 counter hit. My first opponent was a Giovanna, and I already hate that character anyway because my homeboy Excellence plays it, and I'm like, he watches me every time, so I knew that was gonna happen because I've not used that matchup yet, and I played Ram. Ram is really good, so I have no excuse as far as character, and I never do really. So I should, I could do better if I learned the game, but I was bad at the game. But then my second opponent was a Potemkin. Oh, bro. Man, Potemkin grabs you. If Potemkin grabs you, you lost. If you don't know what you're doing, because it's demoralizing. You get air grabbed, then you get reset, and then you try to go in and do some kind of offense and try to do some kind of whatever, and then Mega Fisto, and he comes in, and you get grabbed, and then you're dead, and it's like, well, that was worthwhile. I didn't like the Potemkin matches were so fast. I was like, okay, cool. I guess I'm going back to playing Street Fighter now. So I'm still playing Guilty Gear, but I've already kind of realized like this is not my game. This is my like 4th or 5th trying to play Guilty Gear, even semi-competitive. I'm like, this is not my game series, man. I love it visually, and I love like a lot of ideas in it. And I'll try and play it fun with friends, but I probably won't enter another tournament for it. I'm just gonna wait till my next game probably be King of Fighters 15, like when that comes out, because I like King of Fighters.
KOF is looking good. I'm actually pretty excited for that.
Yeah, man, I'm like really hyped for that, dude. It looks really tight. Like I love 14, despite the fact that the graphics were not great. For me, they were fine, like the style of it, but I know that there were some issues with it for sure. Andy looked terrible. But like 15 seemed to solve that core issue, which was like the visual presentation. It gives a lot more flair, a lot more style, which is what I said I thought 14 was missing. So, and already I love the roster because like a lot of the characters I want to play are already there. I've already got a team, so I'm like, my main Luong is back, so she's there. I'm playing her. Shermie's there. Blue Mary is there. Vanessa's there. I'm like, oh, all my characters are there. Only character missing is Athena, who is gonna be in the game. There's no doubt about that. And if I get lucky enough, then maybe Sylvie Paula will be there too. But I don't know. And Kula. So I got like a bunch of characters. I play all the girls. I got a bunch of characters that I have access to already. I'm pretty sure some more are going to come in and are going to play. But I like a lot of the KO characters anyway. I'm hoping Yamazaki makes it into, and just I can name characters all day. King of Fighters is my series, man. Like right next. Oh man, probably right there with Tekken and Street Fighter is King of Fighters for me. King of Fighters might be above those two. I'm not 100% sure yet. I love King of Fighters, and this is, I'm looking forward to it. So that probably be the next game I really dive deep into after Street Fighter 5. But yeah, that was my tournament experience today, and that's all I had. Yeah.
Yeah, I was happy with my placements in the qualifiers.
Yeah, did you get like were you in the top 100, or I know Jay said you had ranked somewhere, and I was like, oh shit.
So for the third qualifier, 580 players, I was in 129th. But then the fourth qualifier, 367 players, I got 47th.
Nice.
So I was pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, that's nothing to sneeze at, man. Like, people don't understand, I think, sometimes, like, how, or at least people that aren't tournament players at all, or like, Evo specifically has a shit ton of competitors.
Yeah.
So, whereas you might go to a local, and, you know, like I said, I was in a field of like 20 something, so me getting 2 wins meant I was in like winners finals. I think I had a bye too, but I can't remember if I had a bye in that bracket, so I might have actually technically been pushed. But yeah, so that got me in winners finals. But like, with Evo, like if you make it out of your Evo, you can end up in depending on what game you're putting in, you can end up in 2 different pools. Like Street Fighter, the last one with the Evo in 2019, for my pool, I went 2-2, 3-2, no 2-2. I went 2-2 in my pool, and I was 1 win away from winners finals of my pool. But if I made it out of that pool, I would have got put into another pool. So, you know, because of that, I still ended up in a decent way. There's a ton of players. There's thousands of players for some games, hundreds of players for some games. In Tekken, I'm pretty sure Tekken probably had somewhere at least in 1,000, if not more, that entered in total.
Split it up between different qualifiers like that.
100%, yeah. Because normally I just do like different pools, and so this is like the qualifier to get, you know, the top of the top. Plus, it probably makes it easier too to like weed out bad connections.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're talking about, you know, getting top, you know, getting like in the 40s in placement. You're in the upper half of that bracket. So yeah, getting out of pools at Evo is not easy. You know, it's just not. There is a ton of players there in every game. Like the only game you will see that has small entries is like older games that aren't like officially there on the official ticket, like stuff that's like, you know, TMNTF or TMNT Tournament Fighters 2. Tournament Fighters. Why I say 2? There's not a 2 to that game. And even then, they'll still have like a decent amount of entries. So yeah, it was like getting that kind of placement, dude. That's what's up. That means you're on your way.
Jelani dropping hints without saying he was dropping hints.
Right.
Tournament Fighters 2.
Yeah, I ain't want to say nothing. You know, I got the inside track. There's gonna be a Tournament Fighters 2 coming out for TMNT. You know, you might want to look out for that Turtles fighting game coming up. You know, I don't have no inside track or nothing like that. I actually don't. I wish I did have inside track. That'd be great.
Hey, if something like that would happen, hey, go ahead and give it to Arc System Works.
Yo, I wouldn't be mad about it. I wouldn't be mad about it at all. Well, it depends how they do it. Because if Arc System Works gets them, like, please don't turn it into an air dash fighter. Like, don't do that. TMNT Tournament Fighters is straight up like a really fast paced Street Fighter. It's funny though, because like that game, if you go back and look at it, a lot of stuff that was in that game, like I have to look and make sure what came first, but a lot of stuff in that game was like cutting edge. I think it might have been I don't know what game had supers first, and I want to say it was that game because no, that's not true. I want to say it was Street Fighter. I have to go back and check because Street Fighter got supers and Super Turbo, but I think Super Turbo is after that game.
I think it is after that game.
Yeah, so and if that's the case, then yeah, Tournament Fighters had supers first. That being said, a lot of those supers were ridiculous. Yeah. If you blocked them, they did mad chip damage. Tournament Fighters, I love that game so much, especially Super Nintendo version. But man, that game was broken in some ways. But you know, old fighting games The broken ones are usually the best ones. So hey, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else as far as fighting game stuff because while we're on the subject, I think that's about it because there's nothing else like shocking happening right now. We're just kind of waiting to see what happens with King of Fighters 15 and Guilty Gear Strive. Oh, Guilty Gear Strive's DLC cards gonna be coming out soon, so I already have season pass, so I'll get it. But like I said, I'm kind of gonna be relaxing off of it because I'm just not. I don't know. I will see how we Guilty Gear with me. I don't know. I'm still waiting to see. Oh, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping for Jam. I'm really hoping for Jam.
I know it's been leaked or at least rumored that she's in this season. It's just a matter of is she first or is she later. She's probably going to be a link. I think the first character is supposed to be Happy Chaos from what we're hearing, but of course I don't know because it's just rumors. They starting these rumors. Sorry.
Who was it?
Oh, Jam. Oh no, the first character is supposed to be Happy Chaos.
Happy Kid. Oh, that must be somebody new.
Yeah, somebody new. I think it's like the last boss, or not the last boss, like the main antagonist of the story. But I've not watched Guilty Gear story, so I'm not 100% sure. I've just been looking up information, and I know Happy Chaos was mentioned as like, oh, this kid is coming soon. So, and then I think Jam is like supposed to be in this pack. So,
since it is a season pass, like we do need new characters for that because
right.
I mean, we talked about that last time. It's kind of irritating to get a season pass for characters that already exist in the game.
Right. Yeah. Like
now we're waiting for them to come back. Like, bro, come on.
Yeah, that's my biggest fear about like Street Fighter 6 is that I'm getting so used to this cast now, and like it dawned on me the other day, like when Street Fighter 6 comes out, there's like Jury being in the launch cast is a possibility, but Poison being in the launch cast is highly unlikely if she even makes it again at all, despite how popular she is.
Right.
Especially this version of her, and I'm like really sad about that. And I think it's the saddest thing for me about fighting games right now and the way that they are, especially when like sequels come out, is that they're very disposable. I can play old Pokemon games, or I can play old Metroid games and still get the value out of what I had for them. Even some competitive like Pokemon, I can still go back to play old games and play the main game, or I can play some people specifically online or whatever, and have that and still have fun with it. But like with fighting games, their other modes right now are so paper thin that once the game dies competitively or a sequel releases competitively, that old game is no longer useful. Like it's just not. There's no point to it, and there's not tournaments being held for it. And it's particularly with Street Fighter V, with it being so divisive. I don't know if it's gonna have any longevity after 6 comes out, and that bothers me because I'm like, man, I don't envy the idea of not having Jury, Poison, or even Rose to like play again. Like I'm gonna find another character. What I actually hope happens, and I hope that with Street Fighter 6 we actually get a lot more new characters. I think my mind is starting to turn on that idea now of like, season passes bringing back all these old characters we knew and loved, and that's cool to an extent. But like you said, I hope we're not sitting around just waiting for characters that we already just played like a few months or years ago in a new engine. Because like if that's the case, I'm like it's gonna be frustrating, and I think I'm getting tired of seeing that. I do hope Jury is in the launch roster because, man, I love the player, but yeah, there is that frustration. I even kind of feel it with King of Fighters 15's reveals. Like, there's not been any new characters at all in King of Fighters 15. There's all, as far as I can think of, I think it's all been old characters from the previous game. But the plus side is they're all on the launch roster.
Exactly. Yep.
And so for me, I'm like, that's cool. And then actually, I'll take that back. That's a lie. There's new characters that haven't been put in 3D yet. So Team CYS or Team Orochi, Yashua, Shermie, Chris, they're technically new, even though they're old characters because they have not been put into a 3D game at all. Shermie was in SNK Gal Heroes, but other than that, they're basically new. So I forgot about that. But like they're still technically old characters. They're not new characters. Which is what we got with 14. We got like Sylvie Paula and what's his name? Oh, I forget the other characters. I forget their names. I'm drawing a blank right now. But there were other new characters that were in 14, and so I'm hoping we get some more new characters showing in that game too. But I hope that with Guilty Gear specifically, like everybody's saying, hey, I want Bridget back. Let's bring back. I think bringing back some old characters to kind of like, hey, here's a character we were able to reimagine like Jam or something like that. I think that's cool. But I actually hope that Guilty Gear, especially with how imaginative it is, I hope they bring in brand new ideas, and I hope they keep doing that
Yeah,
with the characters. Like bring in, I think a good season pass is to bring in one or two old characters, but then like have 3 or 4 new characters that you're just like, whoa, who is this? And expand the universe rather than just bringing in all old characters. Because yeah, I think Street Fighter Five. I think that's probably one of the things that kind of now I'm looking back retrospect, I'm like, man, season 4 was almost all old characters. It was E Honda, Poison, Lucia was new, Seth, who was technically old, but he was was redone completely. Matter of fact, she was redone completely. And Gil, who technically was redone because he's not boss powerful, but Gil.
yeah,
So you had 5 characters, and like of those 5, 3 of them were old, or I can say 3.5. I kind of count Seth as new, but well, that was season 4, and then even in season 5, like season 5 is mostly old characters. You got Rose, Oro, Dan. That's 3. Akira is not even. She's new, but she's not. She's in Street Fighter, but she's not new. A new character. She's rival schools, and then it's hidden 5th character. So it's
yeah.
more
Just took it from a different IP of theirs.
right, which is fine. But at the same time, like looking at 4 more old characters, and it's like, well, damn. So people gave him a lot of shit for like making new characters because like these new characters are not great or whatever, which I disagree with completely. I think most of the new characters, with the exception of like maybe Ed, were awesome. Ed, I think they kind of wasted some opportunity by aging out so fast. I really, that's another discussion, but I'll put out there. I think they should have kept Ed like teenager rather than make him like this another big buff character. I agree with that issue. And the same with Falk. I think they should have kept him younger, just to give him interest. Because like most of the cast is like the same size. This is like it'd have been cool to have like some more younger characters, like some more younger, thinner characters doing some different stuff. But that being said, I actually like Falk a lot. I think she gets a lot of slack for being like a stiff, boring character. I think she's actually pretty fun. But anyway, like I said, I want to go into that discussion. But yeah, I hope that going forward, not just Guilty Gear, but particularly Guilty Gear Strive, because that's the hot one right now, gets a lot more new characters than retreads. So we'll see.
Yeah, the main reason I'd be okay with them reviving certain characters, like I don't care for Bridget, but at the same time, Bridget hasn't been in it since what XX.
Right. Maybe. Yeah. Some like Bridget. Yeah. I agree.
So, yeah, but that's about it for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like that's what I was saying too. Like somebody like like with KOF 15, they had Yashiro, Shermie, and Chris. They haven't been put in 3D. They've been, the last time we saw them was in I think 2002 for the Dream Match, which is still a 2D game. So with the exception of Shermie, who was in Gal Fighters, that's how we know Shermie's alive again in the story. But like those characters, I'm fine with them like bringing them back. Like, hey, these are characters you haven't seen before. Plus, they're on the launch roster.
Yeah.
And like with Guilty Gear, like if they bring back Bridget, if he's in there, that's great. If they bring back, if they bring back RoboKai, firstly, I'll be super happy because RoboKai was my other old main aside from biking. I'd be glad to see RoboKai come back and be fully realized again. I'd be great with that. But if we get a season that's basically just all the characters that were missing that were in Exarch that are missing, so like we get a season that's just all just Elfelt, Venom, Biking, whatever, I'll kind of be disappointed. I'm still sad that Biking's not in the game because I love Biking, but at the same time I have Ram, so I'm like, all right, well I can play Ram because I like Ram. Actually, funny enough, I like Ram more than Biking now as a design. I think Ram's just really cooler. I want to learn Guilty Gear, man, but it is a steep road, and I'll get my ass beat, and I don't have enough time or energy to keep my ass beat that much.
Right.
You gotta. I'll leave on this note. I'll end it with this. With fighting games, there is a certain level and energy that you have to be able to withstand getting your ass beat constantly, to be able to push past that and continue to improve. And if it's not your main thing, it's not something that you're like super interested in, you will get tired of doing that. And it's like, that's where I'm at with Guilty Gear right now. Like, I love the game and the atmosphere and everything, but at the same time, I'm getting destroyed that consistently, and that, man, it's not fun. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. It's just not fun. Like, you playing with my other homies, we playing lobbies. I think my last lobby with them should be going up pretty soon on my channel, and you'll see it. I'm getting destroyed, and I'm not learning. And they're trying to teach me. It's not that they're just beating up on me like, how we gonna beat this kid up. They're trying to teach me. I said kid like I'm that young. They're trying to teach me, but it's just a lot to absorb in and try and like learn. And you got to go and practice it on your own time. And if you're doing other stuff and you're playing other stuff, like my main fighting game is still Street Fighter V. And so it's like even with just fighting games, I'm doing other stuff. But then on top of that, I'm doing stuff for my channel. I'm doing stuff for the comic, the book, and all that stuff. So I'm like, I don't have enough time to sit down and practice that like that. And it's just, yeah, if you're not, you're gonna keep just being lost, and it ends up not being fun sometimes. So
yeah, it basically has to be your lifestyle, like the people that are playing all these different games.
Yeah. And I'm like, I can probably only take in 1 or 2 fight games at a time. And for me, it's easier to take in Street Fighter right now because I'm so used to playing Street Fighter for so long. So I've been playing it since 2016 or whatever. Well, I've been playing Street Fighter since forever, but I mean this specific Street Fighter 5. And then with King of Fighters, I'm playing King of Fighters since like 2003. So I'm like, I'm bad. But keep in mind, I'm bad at King of Fighters too. But King of Fighters, since I have enough there for me that I enjoy and like other people I can play, that just works for me and just like keeps me playing. So I don't know if I have that in Guilty Gear right now, especially with them not having these fighting games releasing with not enough modes, man. Like mission mode is cool, but it's not mission mode is boring. I'm sorry. I might get killed for that if this like reaches out to the right crowd, but mission mode is boring to me. And it's because mission mode is like a tool for beginners, but there's not enough there for like people that are not I'm not necessarily casual, but I'm also not somebody that wants to play a fighting game and just do just mission mode. You know what I mean? And They also don't have individual character combos like mode or missions either, which really sucks. That's something I really loved about Exard was like, if I didn't feel like playing a game or I want to learn, I could just go into like the character specific combos and learn those to practice and like learn what the character can do. And that's what I did a lot with Ram back then, but that's not even in this game now. Not that the game has
because that was like one of the most useful tools.
Right? Yeah, I'm like really surprised that that's not there. They're normally pretty good about that. So I don't know why they passed on that. Like ASW is usually pretty good about having a lot of modes for you to play and stuff to do. So I'm really surprised by this release like being kind of, it felt bare. But to be fair, and that's what I'm trying to like, it's the year of COVID, you know, and everything's been going on. So I know it's been stuff getting cut back, but it's not like it's a new trend. Tekken 7, same problem. Like you said, there's no Tekken Force, and that was in 6. There's like a lot of stuff that we expected to be in fighting games. Street Fighter 5, same issue. Until Arcade Edition, Street Fighter 5 barely had any kind of like single player stuff aside from a terrible survival mode, which made it not that fun to play. In the story mode, I'm one of the few people that actually liked the cinematics. I thought the story was okay for a cheesy Street Fighter story. It's not great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's a good story and that it's riveting. It's shit. But for a Street Fighter game and for a fighting game, it's actually pretty decent to like follow and kind of get some of the lore. But the matches themselves, for some reason, every match is one round and the computer is absolutely stupid. Or you can switch the difficulty and the computer will be absolutely less stupid. It's not like the AI just isn't there. And it's weird because you can play versus CPU and put it on like difficulty 8 or whatever, and the AI is decent. But for some reason, story mode, like by default, it's on like no difficulty. You can literally just smash buttons until you get to like the last fight, which is, spoiler alert, is Bison. And then that version of Bison will actually post some kind of challenge. But everything else in the game, like I was literally just face rolling. I'm like, this is not engaging at all. I don't think I lost any fights until I got to the very last fight with Bison. It's like, oh, now this is actually a decent challenge. And it's the same thing with the other little small stories too. And so like, but yeah, stuff like that. And like with Guilty Gear, I know everybody has praised them for putting the story in there with no fights at all and just giving just a raw story you can just watch. I don't necessarily like that. Like, I miss going into the story mode for a Guilty Gear game or most fighting games, really, and just like fighting through the actual fights in the game. I miss having that craftsmanship of somebody saying like, "Hey, play this character and get this route and play through this and get these parts of the story unlocked." You can go through arcade mode, and I think everybody has like a small ending or whatever. Kind of same thing they did with Street Fighter 5 and most other stuff, but. And then Tekken 7 story mode pissed me off, and I can make a podcast about that by itself. Because I won't forgive them for that one. Tekken 7, I think, is a fine game. I enjoy playing it with people. But you cannot tell me that story. I don't understand I'm really surprised that they didn't get more shit compared to Street Fighter 5 story mode, because Tekken 7 story mode is objectively really bad. Like, the cinematics are okay.
Like, what are they thinking with this? Like, who is this random ass dude telling this story?
I don't know. Man, that made me so mad when you get to the end and realize that it really is. I thought it was like going to be like Lars or something, but then Lars shows up. I think I can't remember. I think like some other kid that's important, right? But then it ends up being like you're really just some random reporter, and it's like, oh. And then, what made it worse for me personally was just like everybody else's stories get treated like such second rate. We don't really care. You know what I mean? They're just there. Like, you get like, and most of them like one or two fights, and then you get their ending. And I'm like, ew, this has never been Tekken. I may have cheesed it back in there, but I remember in Tekken, especially when I was playing Tekken 3 and Tekken 4 and Tekken 5, you would put it like you want to rush and get all the characters, but you would put it to like one round, one game to go through the modes, get to the rival match, see the rival cutscene, and then get to the end and then fight the last boss and then get an ending that tied everything together. But it was like, no, this is definitely the Mishima show. I'm like, I don't give a solitary fuck about the Mishimas, dog. Can we just not? I'm done with them. I don't care about Jin at this point, and I used to like Jin back and forth, but I'm like, I'm tired of him too. Just the whole clan. I'm just like, I'm done with them, dude. Like, just can we move on? Sorry, I want to sort of rant there too. But yeah, that being said, on a more uplifting note, GG Strive DLC is looking like it's gonna be pretty interesting. Like I said, Jam has been rumored. I think Jacko's rumored too, but I don't know if that's true or not. I don't see why she wouldn't be, considering she's like, again, she's modeling the game, and she's a fan favorite. But I wonder if they have to change her, considering how the game plays. If she's in there, I'll probably play her as a secondary because I love Jacko. I don't know why I stopped playing her in XR. I probably should have stuck with her, honestly. And then but then the other characters are all new characters from what I recall. And Happy Chaos is like the first one. So I think it's supposed to be like Happy Chaos, then Jam, then new character, then old character, then new character. I think that was the pattern I saw. But again, this is just rumors based off of what I saw like online. So take that with a super grain of salt, some pepper, and put it on your steak.
That'd be pretty interesting, though.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, I think we'll go ahead and end it. There's been an hour now. You got to get out. So I'm gonna let you go, and I'm gonna go try and, I don't know, I might drink some more coffee. I might just go to bed early. I don't know. I probably look dead tired. I don't know if I'm gonna put this video up with my camera footage on there or not, because I don't look great, and I'm not that I look great most times. I look fine. I mean, I say that I look all right. I look pretty damn good, but I definitely look several levels of tired today. So yeah, we'll end it there. I think we'll probably do another podcast next week. It's when hopefully everybody's available. If not, then we'll do it the week after that. But I'll put them up as soon as possible. This probably go up this following Monday. So if you hear it, should be Monday if things go right. Yeah, other than that, that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and jump off. Thank you guys for listening. This podcast will be going up on other services in the very near future, probably within the next month. I just want to see how steady it goes and see, if it gets any growth before I like really invest in that part of it. But for now, still listening on YouTube, but I am looking into putting it on other services. If that's the case and you're listening to this and you enjoy it, let me know what the services you use. I'm kind of curious to see what people listen to their podcast on. Or if YouTube works for you, just let me know. I'll be interested to find that information out. Yeah, other than that, any other words, Genius?
Nope, nothing for me. We got to talk about fighting games. I got a new experience by, just randomly jumping into tournaments and stuff. So
right.
Yeah, it was an eventful week.
Word. Yep. And then same for me. Actually, I guess I should have mentioned too, the reason we didn't record last week was I wasn't even in town. I was back in Michigan. I was traveling to visit family. I was visiting my family. I've been back in Michigan in literally 2 years, maybe in 2.5 years. And so it was really good to go home to Michigan. But it felt weird because I was there almost as a tourist. Because we normally go home to Michigan. I go home and I just chill with the family. We may go to an event here or there. Might go see a movie or something like that, or we'll go visit other family members, and that'll be that. This is the first time I've ever gone home and did tourism. Like I went home and I went to Belle Isle. I went home and I went to when I was there I went to Belle Isle. We went downtown. We drove around. We saw an old neighborhood. We were like, it was like a lot of stuff going on. I'm like, wow, this is weird. And I took a lot of pictures that I've not posted online yet, but it was strange to go home and be like a tourist in the city I was born in. Like I've never been there before or something. Which, to be fair, the last time I was there in like that kind of capacity was like right when I moved. So a lot of stuff that got built, like the Riverwalk, the redone Belle Isle, all that stuff is new to me. And so I got the experience when I went this time. It was pretty cool. And I did so with my family, so that was fun. But yeah, that's why we didn't record last weekend. So yeah, there you go. I'm back now though, clearly lacking sleep. And that's probably part of the reason I'm tired too, because I'm probably still, I don't think I probably recovered from jet lag yet. I got home Thursday night at like, or Wednesday night at like 10 and didn't sleep well. So I'll probably still recover from that. Hopefully by the end of this weekend, I'll be back on point and I won't look like The Walking Dead next time we record. But yeah, that's it. Thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for checking it out. We'll see you on the next one. Have a good week.
For sure. Peace.
Peace.